Alright, let's get into it. And be honest, watching Celtic right now just isn't fun. We're not even in October yet, and already the team has racked up 4 goalless draws. 4. For a club like Celtic, that's a stat that jumps out. Last season, only 3 the whole campaign. Season before that, 2. Even during Ange Postecoglou's time, with all the rotation and changes, only 3 nil-nils. But this season, for already. And here's the kicker. 7 of the last 8 matches have been goalless at halftime. That's a grim way to kick off a campaign. And it's leaving fans asking the obvious question, what's going on with this team? Now, before anyone pulls out the pitchforks, it's not all doom and gloom. Saturday's performance against Hibs wasn't dreadful. Actually, it was decent. Celtic created enough to win the match, had more than enough possession, and were in control for large stretches. Hibs didn't really offer anything in attack. If anything, they sat in and soaked up pressure. Their goalkeeper had a strong game, and their defenders made some big blocks at key moments. But the frustration comes when you know that one goal, just one clinical moment, would have been enough to wrap up the points, and it didn't come. That's the thing, though. It's not just about controlling games. Celtic fans don't just want results. We want to be entertained. That's part of the DNA. You can respect a tight, organized display if there's flair in the mix or moments that get you out of your seat. Right now, there's not enough of that. The players had chances, a handful, actually. And on another day, maybe Kenny buries his, or Maeda finds the bottom corner, or McGregor curls one in from distance. Instead, everything fell flat. Straight at the keeper. Just wide. Not enough conviction. So what do you do with that? Do you tear it all down and call it a crisis? No. That'd be dramatic. But do you shrug it off like it's nothing? Also no. The answer is probably somewhere in between. That gray area where performances aren't awful, but they're also not inspiring. That limbo is what's annoying Celtic supporters just now. You can feel it in the atmosphere. You watch the matches thinking, this team should be doing better. Not just scraping results, but making a statement. But so far, it's just not happening. You can tell even the players and staff feel it. Brendan Rodgers came out after the match with a measured tone. He didn't slate the performance, didn't pretend it was sparkling either. Callum McGregor echoed that, disappointed not to win, but not panicking. There's a sense that inside the dressing room they're trying to hold the line, keep belief, and push for better. But the truth is, it's a results business, and too many dropped points, especially in matches where Celtic dominate possession and create chances, is going to raise eyebrows. Even so, there were bright spots. Marcelo Serra, for one, looked tidy. There's something about him, a bit of that Greg Taylor reliability, but with more intent in the final third. He's not shy about whipping a ball into the box, and one of those early deliveries led to a goal against Kilmarnock. On Saturday, he tried the same again. Didn't come off, but it's promising. That left side, with Serra and Teniekti linking up, is starting to show some chemistry, and that's something to build on. And Ian Acho, even though he didn't score, was involved. He held up play, made runs, linked up with the midfield. Things we were crying out for earlier this season when the forward line looked disjointed. It's not that he had a blinder, but it's the kind of performance you want from your number 9 if he's not scoring. Active, available, giving defenders problems. But then, there were the daft mistakes. Soft free kicks all over the park. Fouls in areas where Hibs had no business threatening. Cheap ones too, clips from behind. Little nudges that didn't need to happen. Carter Vickers, usually so composed, was guilty of a few. Engels as well. Those moments don't always cost you directly, but they break rhythm, let the other team breathe, and waste energy chasing second balls. Celtic committed 16 fouls on the day. Hibs? Just one. One foul, and it came in the 90th minute. That's staggering. It's not just about aggression or pressing. It's a lack of composure and control. When you've got 75% of the ball and the other team only fouls once, that tells you something about how passive their approach was, and maybe how sloppy yours was. And let's not ignore the fan side of things. The silent protest at the weekend was noticeable, even watching on Celtic TV. For the first 12 minutes, the stadium was flat, and not just because of the football. It was an eerie quiet, and while the symbolism of the 12th man going silent absolutely hits, you have to ask, is this the best way to send a message? Right on the 12-minute mark, the stadium came alive, helped by the fact Celtic finally mounted an attack, but after that, it just kind of faded again. The atmosphere never really kicked into gear. It's complicated. The fan protests are rooted in serious concerns about the board and the direction of the club. There's a sense that Celtic supporters are being ignored, talked down to, and taken for granted. And the silence is a powerful way to highlight that. But when it spills over into the matchday environment and potentially affects the team, it gets tricky. Brendan Rodgers and the players might say they're focused on the pitch, and they probably are, but Luke McEwen said something that really stuck. During the first 12 minutes, he could hear his teammates talking to him. That's not normal at Celtic Park. That tells you just how quiet it was, and more importantly, how much the players were aware of it. That's not to criticize the protest. It's valid, and it's coming from a place of love and frustration. But with bigger silences planned, 29 minutes for the Europa League match, 32 on Sunday, it's hard not to wonder if it'll start to hurt the team. And that's the last thing anyone wants. Fans want change, but they also want results. It's a delicate balance, and no matter which side of the debate you fall on, you can feel the tension creeping in. The thing is, this week could be a turning point. 2 home games. 2 big chances to reset the narrative. Get a couple of wins, put in a performance that gets people excited again, and suddenly the mood shifts. Braga on Thursday won't be easy. They just beat Feyenoord in Europe, but they're beatable. Then a league match to follow. 6 points, a couple of goals, and maybe we start to believe again. That's what everyone's desperate for, a spark. Something to remind us what Celtic can be when it all clicks. If there's one thing Celtic Park thrives on, it's momentum. And right now, it feels like we're crawling through this season waiting for something to lift the lid off. The Braga game could be that. It's the kind of European night that used to carry weight, under the lights, big atmosphere. A team that's no pushover, but not world beaters either. These are the games where Celtic can come alive. Or at least they used to. But the worry is that the crowd won't even get a chance to feed into that. 29 minutes of silence planned for Thursday. Nearly a third of the match. And that's just hard to get your head around. You've got a European opponent who's probably not used to Celtic Park in full voice. And instead of unleashing the stadium early on and putting them under pressure, you're giving them space to settle. Maybe they don't score, maybe nothing happens, but it changes the whole dynamic. You can't pretend it doesn't. And before anyone jumps in, the silence has a purpose. It's a response to a board that's being seen as out of touch and dismissive. Fans aren't just doing this for drama. It's targeted, it's calculated, and it's coming from a deep frustration. After the transfer window slammed shut and we saw that statement go out, the one trying to justify everything, that's when a lot of supporters snapped. It felt like the ambition was gone, like we were settling. And for a club that should be dominating Scottish football and at least making a dent in Europe, that's not good enough. But here's the question that needs asking. Is this kind of protest the most effective way to bring about change? Or does it just start to feel like a punishment for the players? The squad didn't choose to be underspent. They didn't write that statement. They're the ones out on the pitch, trying to put together results. And you've got a situation where they're stepping into silence at Celtic Park. That can't be easy. Luke McEwen spoke about it honestly. Hearing his teammates in those opening minutes was a new one. And you do start to wonder if the message would hit harder in other ways. A proper merchandise boycott. Empty seats. Something that hits the club financially without directly impacting the lads on the pitch. That's the thing, though. The supporters are torn. You want to back the team. You want to believe in the project. But you're watching performances that feel flat and directionless. Not bad enough to cause chaos, but not good enough to spark joy either. And then you've got Hearts sitting 2 points clear at the top, and it just rubs salt in the wound. Not that Hearts are title contenders, not really. They've had a strong start, sure, but so did Aberdeen last year, and look how that turned out. The league is long, and quality usually wins out. But Celtic can't keep giving teams head starts. Because at some point, you stop talking about early season rust and start talking about a proper title race. It's mad to think that with all this uncertainty, the focus isn't even really on Rangers. That says a lot about where things are. Normally by now, it's neck and neck, toe-to-toe, every weekend feeling like it matters. But right now, it's all internal. Celtic versus themselves. Fans versus board. Performances versus expectations. That's where the energy is going. And that's what makes this week feel more important than the fixture list lets on. It's not just about Braga or the league game. It's about tone, about narrative, about giving the supporters something to grab onto again. The good news is that the ingredients are there. You can see flashes of it. The left-hand side with Sarah and Teniekti, Maeda trying to make things happen, McGregor still the heartbeat in the middle. Even Acho, who should have scored, is at least showing presence up top, which is more than can be said for some strikers we've seen this season. There are signs, but signs don't win titles. Finishing does. Momentum does. Conviction does. And right now, we're lacking that edge in the final third. It's all a bit too polite. A bit too tidy. Nobody wants tidy football at Celtic Park. They want purpose. Speed. Chaos, even. That's what's missing. That edge. The feeling that every time we break forward something's going to happen. The truth is, this team isn't scaring opponents right now. Teams are coming to Celtic Park and sitting in, wasting time, throwing in late challenges, because they don't feel under real threat. And when they survive the first 20 minutes, they grow in belief. That needs to change. Celtic need to start playing with fearlessness again. Move the ball quicker. Take risks. Hit shots. Force errors. Right now, it feels like the team wants the perfect goal every time. Sometimes you've got to create your own chaos. And the fans will respond to that. That's the irony in all this. Everyone wants the same thing. The board might have their priorities wrong, but the supporters and the players all want to win and feel pride in doing it. The issue is that the connection between those three pillars, board, squad, and fans, is broken. The squad are trying to get on with it. The fans are trying to make their voices heard. And the board are hiding behind statements and silence of their own. That's not sustainable. Something's got to give. But it doesn't have to be some huge dramatic shift. Sometimes it just takes a moment. One goal in a big game. One thunderous tackle that lifts the crowd. One performance that says, we're back. That's all it takes to flip a switch. And maybe, just maybe, Thursday can be that. Braga are good. Beat Feyenoord last week. But they also lost in their domestic league at the weekend, so they're beatable. It's not a glamour tie, but it's a proper test. A win there, with a couple of goals and a performance that carries energy, and you walk into the next league match with your chest out again. That's what everyone's craving, that feeling, that buzz, that edge. Right now it's like everyone's holding their breath, waiting for Celtic to come alive. Because when this club does come alive, it's a force. The players feel it, the fans feed off it, and even the doubters get swept up in it. But we're not there yet. Still too quiet. Still too passive. And the longer that goes on, the more restless it'll get. So what now? It's time for the players to lead. The fans will do their part. They always do, whether it's in silence or in full voice. But the players have to rise above the noise, or the lack of it, and give the crowd something to believe in again. That's what this week is about. Forget the drama. Forget the politics. Go out there and play. Be aggressive. Be sharp. Take control. Because if this team wants to remind everyone who they are, now's the time to do it. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. Whispers are swirling through Glasgow this week after a startling claim attributed to Lille Abada sent shockwaves around Celtic Park. The young winger, who has long been seen as a bright spark in the Hoops attack, is said to have confided to those close to him that the Celtic dressing room is toxic and disunited, words that cut to the very heart of the club's proud traditions of unity and togetherness. For supporters, it is a rumor as unsettling as it is explosive. Celtic's dressing room has always been painted as a place of camaraderie, forged through decades of battles against fierce rivals and built on the spirit of brotherhood. To hear one of their own suggest that harmony has given way to factions is enough to make the Parkhead faithful shift uneasily in their seats. Was it frustration speaking, or a genuine glimpse behind the curtain? No one outside those walls truly knows, but the whispers are growing louder by the day. The timing could not be worse. With the season hanging in the balance and crucial fixtures on the horizon, any sign of unrest risks not just results on the pitch, but also the club's reputation off it. A fractured squad rarely lifts silverware, and those chasing the title will be quick to sense weakness. Rival fans, meanwhile, are already snickering at the thought of chaos within Celtic's camp, relishing every suggestion that the boys are anything less than united. Still, there are questions to be asked. Abada is young, ambitious, and often frustrated by injuries and selection choices. Could these words reflect his own battles rather than a broader truth? Or is he, in fact, voicing what others are too wary to admit. The lack of an official response from Celtic only adds fuel to the fire. Silence can soothe, but it can also signal that all is not well. For now, it remains a rumor, a murmur echoing through pubs and terraces, the kind of story that keeps fans talking late into the night. Yet one thing is certain. If there is even a grain of truth in Abada's alleged remarks, then Celtic face a challenge far greater than any opponent they'll meet on the pitch. The challenge of healing a fractured soul within their own house. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.